Hello, I have a question for Finn. You mentioned the book that Morikond had given Henry at one point. I was just wondering if you were aware of any further interest that Miller might have had in Swedenborgianism or Swedenborg, and if Celine had any. I'm not quite sure if there's anything more to say about that there.
I don't know anything about Celine's philosophical studies, and Miller wasn't a consequential scholar. He just picked things up from where he could find them, and he used very often the cosmology of Swedenborg. Swedenborg has this cosmology where he has the heaven of the world of light above, and you have the middle ground, and you have
and you have the awful excremental hell at the bottom, and he uses these. Of course, he also always uses the light images, but the light of Greece. But in Tropic of Cancer, he has a fantastic part where he has a teaching post in the little town Dijon in France, and it is simply hell on earth, and everything. The toilets are frozen, and I won't go into details. But he was able to use the Swedenborgian cosmology. I don't suppose he had any other sources. I'm not aware of that. But of course he loved the angel. Many quotes on the angel there. I folded the wings and put out my coat and things like that. I actually called my first book on Miller "The Angel from Brooklyn." So, okay, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Another question about the Celine talk. The other two were great, but I'm sorry, I'm a Celine fan, so I have to. You mentioned, you contrasted Miller on the hill and Celine down in the dumps, sort of conspiracy theorist. I'm very ignorant about the timelines of, when Miller read Journey compared to when he wrote Tropic. I'd be interested in hearing a little bit about that. But I'd also be interested in hearing you talk about the value you see in Celine for the 21st century. You say Miller, what I received from your talk was Miller, the value is the life he lived, he made these jumps, and he actually settled up and up and up.
Yeah.
I've always felt in some ways Celine is a great contrast with him, because if there's any critique of Miller in my eyes, it's that he actually sometimes veers into the cliche of the God is love and everything, be the cosmos and all that. Yeah. And Celine, I think, is a wonderful thing where you just have to stare in the shit and don't even get that reprieve. So I'm interested in the timeline of Night versus Cancer and maybe some more value of Celine, even though we have his life ending in a bit of darkness.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure when Miller actually read Journey to the End of the Night, but he was. We can see in the correspondence between Anais Nin and Miller that Anais Nin was very much into the Celine book, very and. Journey to the End of Night is a rather traditional novel, but a very powerful one. And Miller was, when he read it, I can't say exactly when that was, but he was very enthusiastic. Celine was never positive about Miller. He always rejected him, and I suppose he saw him as some kind of an opposition, but it's actually quite extraordinary how many times he mentions Miller. But if you saw him as a swindler and an imposter, why mention him so often? It was on his mind somehow, and even in his letters from the prison in Copenhagen, he continually makes note of that. I think the value of Celine is his fantastic descriptions of a society in totally dissolution and decay, and his fantastic use of the language, his the powerful language. In the last novels, you could get hypnotized by these constant abrupt parts of the tale, and to me too, he's a fascinating writer, but an extremely bad person in every aspect, I think. Okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you all for your presentations, and I was by Mr. Gupta, what you were speaking about in both instances, I wanted to be so bold to ask. I feel one of the joys of being here is just feeling a kindred spiritness with the people that are here, not sure exactly where their interest in Miller intersects, but I just wanted to be so bold to ask if I could have a show of hands for people who have experienced bed bugs. I'm just curious. So 1, 2,
Experience what?
3, 4, 5. 5 out of 61, I think I counted. So, as I was driving here through LA, there was some psychologist who was doing a survey around the world on coolness, and I thought, what makes people cool? And I don't know how reliable surveys are when people are self-reporting, but I was just interested in seeing.
Wait, so we're not cool because we had bed bugs, or we are cool because we had bed bugs?
No, I was just thinking, I don't know how reliable research that's requires self-reporting.
One more question.
Thank you for all your talks, and this is for Finn and anyone else, but I realize with Miller, he, kind of surpassed religion and went more towards spiritual realm as he grew, and in a lot of the paintings, there's Jewish stars, and I'm just wondering if anyone knows the symbolism of that, and his background related to that, especially with Celine and his background.
I don't get that. What do you say in the modern world was?
Well, I was just saying that he kind of surpassed religion into more of a spiritual realm.
Yeah.
And anyone can answer this. And in a lot of the paintings, there's Jewish stars and what that symbolizes.
Oh, the Jewish stars.
And it's also like the relation to Celine. Was there any relation within that religion?
No. Miller was quite fascinating with Jewish culture. And there are many examples in his books of he collected gramophone records of Jewish songs, and he was enthusiastic about Jewish food and things like that. But so I would say it was a positive thing that he. But I'm not able to say precisely. I would have to see in the context. Yeah. The Jewish context?
Sure.
No. Yeah.
No?
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you. Good questions. Good conversation.